You know, the last time Netflix decided to put out a movie starring David Spade, it turned out to be a bit of a pile of hot garbage, so naturally I kind of expected this one to be also, but you know what? Quite frankly, it's not. It was actually pretty good. And I know I usually wait till the end of the video to give you my overall thoughts on the movie, but you know what? This one surprised the hell out of me, so you know what? Fuck it. There you go. Cue the music. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. And for today, we're talking about a new comedy movie called The Wrong Missy. And unsurprisingly, this is a Happy Madison production. And if you happen to not know what that means, it's essentially all of Adam Sandler's buddies that he's been making movies with for the past 20 years. It's their movie, basically. Except in this one, much like Grandma's Boy, Adam Sandler just happens to not be in this. Because I guess once in a while, he likes it when the mental patients run the asylum. But anyway, the basic plot of this movie, you have David Spade as the main character playing a dorkier, nerdier version of himself, essentially. And then you have his co-lead, who's played by Lauren Lapkus, and she's just, her usual adorable, quirky little self that she plays in a lot of other movies, but also in this version, she's slightly more psychotic. Good times. And these two characters go on a horrible, horrible first date that ends very, very poorly. However, inevitably, these two characters are basically stuck together on a vacation for the entirety of the film. And then a bunch of funny, wacky, quirky, weird, funny shit happens. Now, to be fair, this movie's really not perfect, and it's also noticeably not perfect in a few places, but I kind of expected that. Because Happy Madison movies, typically speaking, are just silly as hell, and sometimes that can be really good or really awful. And this time, it was actually pretty good, despite the fact that the story of this movie is incredibly unoriginal. Like, we've seen this a few different times in a few different movies. But the thing that made this movie good was the fact that it took that formula and it just peppered and injected comedy in every little detail, and that made it way more enjoyable. I can't confirm this for sure, but I have a sneaking suspicion that everybody read the script and then just added a little PS at the end of everything, because a lot of the flow of people's dialogue, it just kind of ended up that way. Like, they said what they needed to say, but then they added a little extra at the end to make it that much funnier. And particularly, it was David Spade doing it the most. He does that a lot, but that's also kind of a part of his character. Like, he puts in like a little snarky jab here and there. Like, you'll see it in interviews if you ever watch him. But even if he wasn't firing on all cylinders, the dude still gave a pretty good comedic performance in this movie, in my opinion. And so did pretty much everybody else in the movie, except for maybe one or two people. And because it's a Happy Madison movie, you saw a lot of the usual suspects that you see in those movies. Like your Rob Schneiders, your Nick Swartzens, and a bunch of other no-name faces that you recognize. Nick Swartzen was pretty damn funny in the movie, but I kind of expected that. Rob Schneider did have a couple moments in the movie that I thought were just straight up stupid and no funny, whereas normally he's pretty good at actually combining those two into some pretty hilarious characters in the past. And if you don't believe me, go watch like Big Daddy or 50 First Dates, because Schneider just kills it in both of those movies. I don't care what anybody says. Which is, in lieu of the fact that it might be some of the silliest shit I've ever laid eyes on, but whatever. And Lauren Lapkus was absolutely channeling her innermost Jim Carrey from the 90s for the entirety of the movie, basically. But you know what? Surprisingly, she pulled it off. I mean, there were a couple of things in there that were just a little bit too obnoxious, but screw it, she did a really good comedic performance. She did just such a good job of playing innocently crazy. But as far as the rest of the movie goes, like all the technical aspects, like that, your directing, your cinematography, your editing, music, blah, 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 all that other stuff, it wasn't really all that awesome or really all that noteworthy. But when it comes to comedy movies, and I've said this before, a lot of the technical aspects really don't matter quite as much. I mean, obviously they mean something, because the main goal of a comedy is to make you laugh. And did I laugh in this movie? Hell yeah, I laughed in this movie. One of those things that I did think was really strong, though, was the editing, because I don't know if you guys know this, but movies can basically live or die in the editing room. And sometimes there are certain comedy bits that work a little better depending on how quickly or how slowly the film is edited, or how faster they cut to the next scene or something like that. And I would say probably like 8 times out of 10, the editing didn't screw over the comedy bits, so everything flowed together fairly well, I thought. And there was also some CGI in the movie that wasn't like Sharknado level terrible, but it wasn't special either. There was also some good music in the movie here and there too, but far and away, the editing was probably the best attribute of the entire film. But anyway, guys, overall, you know how I feel. Like, I had a bunch of fun watching this movie, and I didn't expect to. But at the end of the day, this movie shouldn't be taken super seriously because it wasn't that well made. So that being said, I think overall, for a score out of 10, I think I'm gonna give it a straight 8.0. This movie definitely deserves a watch. David Spade is even better than he normally is, and you know what? It just left me with a good vibe afterwards. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this movie yet? Have you even heard of it? Hop in the comments, let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other YouTube-y type of shit, and I will catch you guys next time.